All right, you know what time of year it is. It's May, right? It's the end of May. We're going into the summer. And I think what a lot of people forget is that as you are finished in March with the bulk of the free agency, and then in April you have the NFL draft, and then you have OTAs that run in May, and even in June. People forget that it is this time in May, in June, even into July, and then again big time in August, that players are getting picked up. There's still a lot of good players sitting out there, and there's one that has now been linked to the Chargers that almost makes too much sense not to report on. All right, so before we get into that, I'm feeling good today because it's a nice 70 degrees, sunny here in Michigan. As you know, we're from Michigan. We followed this guy, Jim Harbaugh, over to the Chargers. We've been doing this for about 4 months now and just absolutely love doing it. And we'll continue doing it. We want to be your go-to place for Chargers football. We understand your new coach. We've been watching him at U of M for the last decade almost, and anywhere before that, honestly, when you have a guy like Harbaugh. But when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about this beautiful weather, and it's got me thinking. You ready for a random question to start this video off before we get into the football stuff? What kind of grass do you plant in either LA or San Diego? Like, I'm just thinking, like, what kind of grass is it out there? We got the Kentucky bluegrass over here, which when it grows in Michigan, if you do it right, it's soft, it's fluffy, right? It's that kind of grass that you want to take your shoes off and just walk around in. You got any? I don't imagine you'd have that nice, soft, fluffy grass out there. But let me know what kind of grass you got out there. No drug jokes. But anyways, with all that being said, on Twitter, Jordan Schultz reported that former Ravens star safety, star is a word, okay? You could say he was a star. All right, safety Tony Jefferson is coming out of retirement and plans to play this upcoming season. Well, where was he last year? So glad you asked. He said that Jefferson has stayed in shape. He's been training. Of course he has. Wants to play again. He intends to start talking to teams in the near future after spending last season with Baltimore as a scouting intern. All right, so he went into the, I guess, coaching ranks to become a scout, and probably just really missed playing football and felt like his body could still do it. So, all right, let's talk about this in this video. Who is Tony Jefferson? First, let's get to know him. Then let's talk about why this actually is a really good fit for the Chargers and almost a no-brainer at the position to at least take a flyer on this guy. He obviously thinks that somebody's interested in him. He must think that somebody's interested in him, because why would he come out of retirement, right? Because he had a coaching gig. All right, he had a coaching gig. So he's 32 years old. He'll be 32 for pretty much the whole season. All right, and so it's not, I mean, he's older, but he's not really old. All right, he's never won with athleticism or anything like that. He was drafted 11 years ago. All right, the last time he played was with the Giants, where he didn't play great, but he didn't play bad either. Like his last year, he only had 164 total snaps, had a 65 grade if you look at that. But from really 2016 to 2018, he was a high caliber starting safety for Arizona and then Baltimore. And he played well. Like, I mean, he's just a guy who's had a solid career. Solid career. Again, not going to wow you away with his athleticism or anything like that. But why does he fit on this Chargers team? All right. Well, first off, let's just go into here. All right. There's very clear connections. All right. They've brought several former Ravens players and coaches. It's clear the Chargers have valued these connections as Harbaugh and his coaching staff look to speed run this turnaround and make the Bolts a playoff team. All right. So we know he comes from the Ravens, but here's where it also gets a little bit more interesting. All right. It could be reasonably done in the powder blue in 2024. All right. Here's why it makes sense. Behind the obvious ties to the Chargers because of his former Ravens days, he makes perfect schematic sense for the Bolts with how this roster is currently constructed. The Chargers addressed many needs this offseason and have continued to do so as we head into the summer with savvy sightings like Bud Dupree. This could be another example. They didn't really talk about it, but here's what we got. At your safety, you have Alohi Gilman, you have Derwin James. But what about after that? You got JT Woods, all right? And that's it. All right, JT Woods has left some things to be desired, if we're going to be completely honest. All right, and I just realized I have Sports Talk Extra, our other channel's logo back there. Please forgive me. All right, I'll get that fixed. Don't worry. I'll get the beautiful powder blues going for you. All right, don't even sweat it. There you go. All right, you got the nice Chargers. All right. So, anyways, he was slotted in as the third. He left a lot to be desired. If you want a guy who can come in and play 5 to 10 snaps, can start a game in a pinch, he might be able to do this as the third or even fourth safety in this defense. He's at least worth giving a shot. He would help the safeties in that room as well. Just no doubt. All right, no doubt. We know Justin Simmons is still out there. We know there's some big names that are still out there, but you have to start wondering if that's where the Chargers wanted to spend money, then they would have spent the money. Instead, they decided to spend the money having the best edge group in the NFL, and it is. It is the best edge group. And I've talked about this on this show before, and I'm going to continue talking about it again. If you are sitting here talking about a great defensive line that puts pressure on the quarterback, that improves your secondary greatly because they don't have to cover as long. It's really simple. Like, football is not as complicated as many people think. Sure, you got to scheme the people in the right way, and you have to build for success. However, there's a lot of different ways to win. You just have to decide what is going to be the way you're going to do it. I also would like to show you what your cap space is looking like, which, by the way, isn't bad. All right, your cap hit or your cap space is $26 million roughly. All right, $26 million roughly. All right, that might not actually, as you go into it, when you mark it all down and you talk about the rollover and where the salary cap's at and the active roster and everything, you get, again, that $26 million with the top 51. That's kind of what you look at. You have money left, but most teams like to go in with a good 10 to 15% of the cap for the ability to sign people like times like this, right? Or there's a lot of areas on this team, for as good as the roster is, there's a lot of areas where depth is a problem. So you want to leave some of that cap space available so you can be bringing in different guys to help fulfill your depth. This would be a good one there. I think bringing in someone like Justin Simmons, it's not the right time. Like, this isn't a Super Bowl I'm ready to compete team. It's just not at this moment a Super Bowl ready team. So why would you bring in a guy that is like, okay, yeah, we're going for a Super Bowl here? It doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you have two good starters. Like, there's no reason to bring in a third starter, especially at an older age. So someone like this absolutely makes sense. Let's see what they think about doing. All right. Thanks for watching. We want to be your go-to spot for all Bolts coverage. See you on the next one.